is as they say.
I see your true form! You are death, cloaked in beast flesh! I have never felt such pain. Do you know what it's like to have your body betray you? Weakness will not claim me! If I am to die soon, I will die roaring!
We are
Let me start off by making one thing incredibly clear. I freaking love Venom. Ever since I was a kid, Venom has always been my favorite Spider-Man villain. At the time, it was just because of seeing the symbiote's cool set of powers, his dark sense of humor, and his awesome design looking like a vicious and more buff version of Spider-Man, but with the addition of razor-sharp teeth.
Like looking in a mirror, bro. The funhouse kind.
And let me tell you that I will never forget the original moment that I experienced the Ultimate Spider-Man game as a kid, where I actually got to play as Venom for the very first time. I even made Pinewood Derby cars with my dad back when I was little, purely based off of the Black Suit Spider-Man, Carnage, and Venom designs, just because of how cool I thought they all were. While I thoroughly love all of Spidey's rogues gallery in their own respective ways, Venom always stuck with me the most, and will always hold a special place in my heart. But nowadays, Venom has become one of my absolute personal favorite comic book characters ever created, and has only grown even more in popularity as the years have gone by. He's even become so popular that he finally got his own standalone movies from Sony, alongside of other popular Spider-Man characters, like Morbius and Madam Web.
Ezekiel Sims. He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died.
This is a breakthrough beyond your father's dreams.
Thank you.
But in all seriousness, there's a reason as to why Venom is so popular. The complexity and depth that the symbiote provides to its host not only serves for some of the best Spider-Man stories ever told, but it also showcases different aspects of our heroes and villains that reveal some of the darkest parts of themselves, and exposes who they truly are underneath the surface. To reiterate what I've already discussed about Venom within my original Marvel Spider-Man 2 review, from my personal perspective is that I've always viewed Venom and Spider-Man as two sides of the same coin. But even more importantly is that Venom is essentially Spider-Man's greatest failure, considering that with great power there must also come great responsibility. But when Spider-Man is fueled with too much power thanks to the symbiote, it ends up directly corrupting him from a moral level. So when that rejected symbiote ends up bonding to another individual who has also been completely scorned by both Spider-Man and Peter Parker respectively, it ends up manifesting a monster of Peter's own creation. And that belief still holds true today. While under the symbiote's influence, Peter's abundant amount of pride, overconfidence, and lack of responsibility all led into the manifestation of Venom.
This is your fault, Pete. You gotta fix it.
In my opinion, outside of later on becoming the lethal protector anti-hero that most people know and love, Venom is essentially the antithesis of everything that Spider-Man represents, which not only makes him an engaging foe for Spidey, but it easily makes him one of the most dynamic comic book characters ever crafted.
Again, innocence falls prey to the evil of Spider-Man. Rest easy, Brock. Venom is here. And if it's the last thing we ever do, Jameson and the insect are gonna pay.
Which now brings us to Marvel's Spider-Man 2. To say that the overall amount of hype and excitement leading up to this game's release was astronomical would be the understatement of the century. The Insomniac Spider-Man franchise not only literally changed my life into inspiring me to become the content creator I am today, and holds an incredibly special place in my heart as a diehard gamer and comic book fan, but it has also single-handedly managed to create my all-time favorite iterations of Peter Parker and Miles Morales in any form of media. And the same sentiment goes for some of the game's villains like that of Doc Ock and Mr. Negative. So when I initially finished playing Spider-Man PS4 back in 2018, which to this day is still my favorite Spider-Man game ever made, only to see a post-credit scene teasing Harry Osborn, who was trapped floating in a tank with the symbiote attached to him, it's safe to say that I was officially stoked. And 3 years later, we finally got our first look at Insomniac's Venom. Craven or Venom? Dude, I'm gonna cry. I'm on the edge of my seat. No!
We will.
No! He looks amazing! Are you me? Oh, yes!
But I want it now!
As a Venom fanatic myself, expectations were at an all-time high. Especially once the game was getting closer to its release, even more details started to pour in about what exactly Insomniac had in store with their own individual portrayal of Venom.
It is not Eddie Brock.
Okay.
It is not Eddie Brock.
Okay.
Our goal was to tell an original story, something
Yes.
you haven't seen in the comics or the movies yet. Obviously,
Wow.
we love Venom for a reason.
Yeah.
All those things you love about the character are going to be there, but how the story plays out, who is Venom, you have to play the game to see how it goes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Knowing just how much Insomniac genuinely cares about the Spider-Man IP and his lore in its entirety, even though this was clearly going to be a version of Venom that was vastly different from the source material, I was immediately all in from day one. I purchased the Symbiote PS5 bundle, I unboxed Venom's 19 inches, and I even got to meet Venom himself, Tony Todd, in person multiple times. It was an absolutely surreal journey, and all of that excitement culminated into finally playing the whole game for myself, where I was left more than satisfied with the experience. However, that doesn't mean the game is perfect, as there are quite a few narrative aspects that I would have changed, considering that I still prefer the story from Spider-Man PS4, and personally think that the possibility of Peter becoming Venom would have been a cool twist.
Harry? That's Harry? Harry looked a lot different than you did when you had the suit. I think that would have been me eventually, if you hadn't saved me.
Ah! What's happening to me? Get this off of me!
Oh my God. I know.
You! Parker!
Furthermore, there have been some fans who were left dissatisfied with how Insomniac's portrayal of Venom was handled, claiming that his character was rushed or that he didn't feel like how Venom usually acts in the comics. And if we're being completely transparent, in terms of accurate portrayals, the Neversoft version of Venom from a video game that's over 20 years old is a literal one-to-one interpretation of how Venom classically acts in the comics in comparison to Insomniac's take.
Gotta find her. Got no choice.
Where, what a wuss. Hey, wanna race? Parker hates it when I get the drop on him.
I hate it when he gets the drop on me.
Look out, lady.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, sorry, lady. Didn't see a thing. Where'd Spider-Wuss go? Spider-Wuss! Come out and play!
Tag! Open this door!
Who is it? You and your wife are innocent, Parker. Our bad.
Our bad? Our bad? I'm gonna kill
Peter
you!
Parker! Just get me out of here now!
Bummer. You're in the doghouse now, dude.
Coming! Honey, we're partners. But only for now. After we bust those tech thieves, it's payback time for kidnapping my wife.
Jeez, one little mistake. We said we're sorry.
Yeah, whatever. I need Jameson's help on this. We're going to the Bugle.
Jameson! We hate Jameson.
You bonehead. We're not going to see Jameson. We're going to use his computer database.
Ooh, are we gonna surf the web?
Let's just go, okay?
But again, as much as it might pain some of you to admit, this guy isn't this guy, and this guy isn't this guy. Just like how Peter and Miles are two vastly different interpretations of Spider-Man. So, it would obviously make sense that their overall character traits and dynamics, as well as how they each connect with the symbiote individually, would be far different from one another.
Harry comes from a place of love. Like he and Peter loved each other at one point, and then they have this falling out, and that's where Venom comes in. With Eddie Brock, he just flat out always hates Peter, and it kind of makes it not one-dimensional. I think it works, but it is totally driven by revenge. And in this case, it was like that was kind of took some adjusting, but it works. Like it totally plays
good.
out.
And I also think like for us, like you've read that story before. Yeah. Like you've experienced that story, and I think that we go back and forth of like how close do we stick to the books? How much do we break apart? And the thing we've kind of said to ourselves is, I don't want you to play the comic book story. Like they're great, but you've seen those, and maybe we go down a path that seems a little bit familiar, and then we mix things up, or we surprise, or it's just a balancing act. And I think since the first game and then Miles and now this, we're kind of always kind of playing that game within ourselves of like, how much do we stay the course, stay what people have done in the past, and then where do we kind of find a way to make it our own?
But when you were making your own version of Venom, also bringing in so much from the comics from like artists like Todd McFarlane and Brian Michael Bendis, and of course Donny Cates, Ryan Stegman, how'd you go about really making your version of the character give that Insomniac twist, like you said, like being new and fresh, but also still staying true to what the character is?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to, when it comes in particular to Venom, I think you have to be very careful because there are people who don't like comics but like Venom. What happens in the comics with Eddie is different than what happens with Pete, but in a way, Pete directly or indirectly impacts the host. With Eddie in the comics, Harry in a different way. There's a sense of, with our game, in a way, the metaphorical bond between Harry and the symbiote is they both were rejected by Peter. So they bond over the rejection. So that's what brings them together. And obviously, the symbiote plays upon the fact that Harry is not feeling very well and suffering, and shows him a world where, and then the other thing is when Eddie gets it in the comics, and by the way, I hope I'm not screwing this up, right? Some comic person, you're so wrong.
You're doing great.
It's a big story of revenge.
Yes.
Right? You did this to me, and now I'm going to get back at you.
Yes.
That's not our story. That's not what we do. We do more of like, Pete, I'm going to do this. I'm going to heal the world. I want you next to me. And if you're not next to me, well, I'm going to get you out of the way then. So it was just a different way of doing it. It's a little mix and matching. It's a little bit what we want to do, what we feel like, it's really core to the experience of Venom, what fans really like, what they're going to enjoy, and then finding areas where we can put our own twist on it.
Clearly, Insomniac understands how to properly portray these iconic characters in their own unique ways that make sure to remain faithful to their comic counterparts while still giving them a breath of fresh air in order to mix things up within their stories. Otto acts like Otto, Norman acts like Norman, Kraven acts like Kraven, Cletus acts like Cletus, and so on. But things are pretty different when it comes to Harry as Venom in comparison to Eddie. Although, it is certainly hard to differentiate Eddie from Venom. One of the reasons why I and so many others love Venom so much as a character is because of the man behind the goo. Okay, that came out wrong, but you all know what I mean. Eddie Brock.
Hey, Eddie.
While there have been a multitude of hosts that have taken on the role of Venom in the past, Eddie is the OG and will never be replaced. The shared bond of hatred that Eddie and the symbiote hold for Peter Parker, and their never-ending rivalry with Spider-Man, is what makes Venom such an engaging character in the first place.
Now, we're one. Now, you're gonna pay. From now on, we're poison to you, Spider-Man. That's why we call ourselves Venom. From now on, we're poison to Peter Parker and Spider-Man. We're Venom!
I can't stand Spider-Man. I can't stand him. I hate him.
Additionally, one of the coolest aspects of Venom is that he can be just as much a psychological threat to Spider-Man as he is a physical one, where Eddie and the symbiote will do whatever they can to consistently torment Peter both in and out of the suit, as well as go after the ones he loves in order to obtain the vengeance that they so desperately crave. So it can be hard to envision anyone else being as encapsulating as he is.
You know nothing about us, but we know everything about you. You see us everywhere, even in your nightmares. Revenge is a human trait we enjoy. We'll have our revenge against you and the ones close to you, like your poor Aunt May or Mary Jane Watson. We know all about them too.
You leave them alone!
Hey, buddy. Real quaint. Homie.
Who is it, dear?
Eddie Brock, ma'am. An old dear friend of Peter's. And you must be Aunt May. Heard so much about you. She won't see you again. How can you stop us?
You haven't suffered enough, and we want to dismantle you piece by piece. After all, we know who you are, and everyone you care about.
Stay away from her!
All we want is to destroy every single aspect of your life. Is that so wrong? When we're done, the whole world will hate you almost as much as we do.
And in all honesty, I get it. It's totally fine if you're not a fan of Insomniac's Venom, especially since it strays quite a bit from the traditional source material that most people are used to. I mean, if it were up to me, I would love to play through a Spidey game where the Black Suit and Venom are already fully established characters right off the bat. Oh wait.
What?
Venom, get ready for a world of pain.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
But clearly, Insomniac wanted to try something different. And to their credit, alongside of cultivating a rendition of Harry Osborn, whose story and character thoroughly resonated with me on multiple levels, they also included quite a lot of elements of the symbiote's lore from the comics that we haven't really seen in much else Venom media, which in turn seems to play quite a big part in the deeper narrative that is taking place within Marvel's Spider-Man 2 that some people may have not realized, which we will fully dive into later. So, in anticipation for this video, I fully replayed through the entire Marvel Spider-Man franchise as it stands right now, with Spider-Man PS4, Miles Morales, and now with Marvel Spider-Man 2. Looking back at each game with a new perspective, it was really interesting to see all the layered intricacies going on in every character and their respective stories. But primarily in the case of the symbiote's greater involvement in Marvel Spider-Man 2, there is a lot going on, and you have to take a huge step back in order to look at the bigger picture. Starting with
Whoa! Doctors haven't cleared me for MJ hugs yet.
Sorry.
Harry. I missed you. I missed you too.
In order to properly understand Insomniac's Venom, we first have to understand the symbiote's main host, of Harry Osborn. Besides being Peter's lifelong best friend, Insomniac's iteration of Harry is also an incredibly intelligent and kind-hearted person, using his wealth accumulated by his father, Norman, for the betterment of others and aiming to follow in the footsteps of his late mother in order to make the world a better place. Given what we saw in the first game with all of his research stations scattered across the city, as well as the Emily May Foundation in Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Unfortunately, Harry is suffering from the same fatal disease that killed his mom, and his health has been slowly whittling away over time. That is, until he is then bonded with a mysterious black substance provided by Oscorp, and proceeds to undergo experimental treatment in an attempt to heal his life-threatening affliction. While Harry's character traits might seem a bit basic at its surface level, there is quite a lot more going on within his character than meets the eye, as it's described beautifully by the main actor who plays Harry in the game, Graham Phillips.
You know, I tried not to go back and watch any of the other portrayals of Harry. I actually don't feel all that different from Harry. He wants to be free. He wants to have fun. He wants to, he wants to live life to the fullest. He doesn't like being still or bored, or, he doesn't prioritize peace, and he definitely is okay with a bit of conflict. But he also was raised in an environment where he's a billionaire, and he knows what it's like to have a lot of eyes on him. And that can make you feel a bit rebellious to that. You need to, you want to break free from that, and you want to get away from all the bodyguards and all that business. Yeah. But also you're aware of that gaze in a way that you know how you're supposed to act. And I think that for Harry is a little bit entrapping. He doesn't want what comes with all of those eyes on him. And I think a lot of celebrities feel that way, where they just wish that they could be themselves, but they feel so much pressure to keep together some sort of brand, and it's kind of sad. And I think that keep it happy, keep it together thing, it comes out in a really toxic way, when he merges with Venom. Yeah. And that's that's the dark side coming out that he hasn't really been able to express, or he hasn't felt like he's been able to express. Definitely a lot of interesting psychology going in with all these characters.
This isn't you.
Wrong. This is the real me.
We are healed. Finally free.
Now, for me personally, Harry's character is one of the strongest in the entire game, and is made even more layered and complex due to the symbiote residing within him and all that entails. Although, there are a few things I would have changed to make his narrative further impactful to the grander scope of the game's core story. For starters, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 technically isn't just the official sequel to Spider-Man PS4, but it can also be seen as the Spider-Man 2 to Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. Both Peter and Miles have their own individual stories and goals fully taking charge throughout this game, where Miles in this case is solely focused on finding and taking down Martin Lee, who, as Mr. Negative, was fully responsible for the death of Miles' father, Jefferson Davis. Some would argue that the Harry and Venom plotline of Marvel's Spider-Man 2 would have been greatly benefited if Miles was removed from the story and it primarily focused on Peter and Harry's relationship with each other and their overall connection to the symbiote. Similar to what we previously saw between Peter and Otto working on the Doc Ock arms throughout the entirety of the first game. And while I completely understand that perspective, we have seen the Black Suit storyline so many times before where it only involves Peter. In this case, Insomniac have already done such a great job developing Miles' character throughout each game as his own individual Spider-Man that it would have been far more interesting if instead we saw Peter rekindling his already established relationship with Harry and have Miles getting to know Harry on a personal level and become genuine friends with him over time, just like he did with Peter in the first game. That way, Harry's downfall into Venom would be much more heartbreaking for not only the player, but for both of our heroes as well.
Harry? Hey, you with me?
Hey. No. Listen, I saw you chasing that robot bird around on the news. You need any kind of tech support? Like running the app or something?
Actually, I got a friend doing that already.
Gotcha. Sorry, I'm just feeling useless. My mom would always say, if opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. Even though she's gone, I still ask her for advice. Is that weird?
Nah, it's the same with me and my dad sometimes.
Nice to know I'm not alone. Thanks. And good luck out there.
You too, man.
Rather than having that sequence be a conversation over the phone, it could have easily been a cutscene where Harry should have made an attempt to convince Miles to stay and hang out with the rest of the gang during the Coney Island mission, and learn firsthand about him and Miles' shared loss of a parent in order to connect even deeper to Miles' character, thus further displaying Harry's kind-hearted nature towards others. And as a bonus, make Miles even more emotionally invested within Harry and his well-being.
I made a promise, Harry, that I'd fight for you.
You don't care about us. You don't know us.
I know you talked to your mom, just like I talked to my dad. Remember? What's she saying right now?
We are so close.
But I digress. For the case of Harry, we get to see exactly how genuine a person he is at his core throughout the entire game. But simultaneously, the same notion applies to the symbiote and its character development. Some people seem to view the symbiote in this game as a straight-up evil alien entity and nothing more, when in reality, that couldn't be farther from the truth. And it's honestly just as big a main character as Harry or either of the Spider-Man. In the original Spider-Man comics, the symbiote was never actually evil, and it wasn't until the 90s animated series where that particular narrative beat was popularized and seemingly used in every other piece of Spidey media that followed.
No! What have I done? What's this costume doing? Doc Connors was right. The symbiote's taking control. I gotta get it off. Oh, it's too late. It won't let me. Ah! Stay away from me! I thought I wanted what you had to offer, but I'm not like you. And I won't let you do this to me. No!
Symbiote. It's changing me. It's taking over my life. I have to get it off. Stop, Pete. Come on. You're overreacting. The suit, the symbiote, it's made life better. And there's no one else we need. Not MJ, not Gwen, not even Aunt May? Those weren't my thoughts. You feed off of negative emotions. But right now, I'm starving you out. Stop! Don't do this! We only want to help you! Be with you! Sorry, Simbi. I know this must hurt. But we're just no good together. Consider yourself dumped.
I like being bad. It makes me happy.
Instead, on its homeworld, the symbiote is an emotionless being who preys on emotionless others. However, fate has paired it with an emotional being who feels intensely. Fear, greed, excitement, responsibility, love. But symbiosis is a two-way street. The alien costume is intelligent. It has learned to feel, and in feeling, to act.
To be honest, I didn't even know the suit was alive until the end. It's more like I felt urges, impulses.
To do what?
Use my power. Like, really use it. No holding back. But, end of the day, I was the one still in charge. Any decision I made during that time is 100% on me.
So you are defending the carnivorous alien monster that is trying to devour your brain?
You want to know the first real feelings I ever sensed from that thing? Fear. As soon as I tried to pull it off for good, it was pure terror at the thought of being alone. That doesn't sound like a monster to me.
Now this might be seen as partial headcanon coming from me until anyone at Insomniac or Marvel says otherwise, but there is quite a lot of evidence within Marvel Spider-Man 2 that backs up this perspective. Mainly in the case of the symbiote itself, it has been bonded to Harry throughout the duration of a couple years. Given the amount of time that passes in between Spider-Man PS4, Miles Morales, and now with Marvel Spider-Man 2. During the entire time he was floating in that tank, the symbiote has slowly been getting to know Harry on a personal level and find out exactly who he is, with the added benefit of the symbiote being able to fully inherit the host's memories.
Pete is Spider-Man. Oh, you don't need to wear a mask with us, Pete. We know all your secrets. Because, of course, we were you.
This thing knows exactly how I like to fight.
How's the suit?
Weird. It's like it knows me. Don't worry, buddy. I'll take care of everything. Promise.
So exactly where was Harry at in his life after getting out of the tank? Well, after years of solitary treatment, he was finally able to reconnect with his lifelong companions, start up a brand new research foundation in honor of his late mother, which he later ends up co-running with his best friend, and to put it bluntly, is feeling like his absolute best self.
Any changes since this morning? Dizziness, aches, pains, anxiety, impulsive thoughts?
Nope.
I've never been better. That's what worries me.
Your energy seems really good, Harry.
I feel great.
Hey, Pete. This is the best night of my life.
Hey, Harry. Me too.
I want to have my birthday here this year. I didn't think I'd get any more of those.
There'll be plenty, buddy.
You two have always had your noses to the grindstone. Sometimes you gotta stop and smell the roses.
Says the guy who started a foundation 2 seconds after finishing life-saving medical treatment.
I know how lucky I am to have gotten a second chance. I have a responsibility to make the most of it. Work hard, play hard. Isn't it crazy that in another universe I wouldn't be here with you guys? I'd just be gone. Dead, I guess, or still in treatment, or...
Well, luckily, we're in the best timeline then.
No kidding. This is a great night. I'm really happy we're all here. But I'm here.
Oh no. Side effects of your treatment may include becoming an extreme cheeseball.
Actually, that's a side effect of hanging out with you.
Ooh, bird! I missed you, buddy.
Keep in mind that all of these positive emotions and memorable moments that Harry was personally feeling and experiencing throughout the game wasn't just impacting Harry alone, but it was also affecting the symbiote as well. In the context of this game's story, Harry is more than likely the first ever host that Insomniac's symbiote has bonded with. Well, at least on Earth anyway, so everything that the symbiote learned and felt emotionally, it all came from Harry.
Well, the whole Coney Island sequence was really interesting because that had the most of a difference between what it was like initially shooting those scenes and then how they turned out. You know, when you're in a place like that, there's an energy to it. There's a frenetic energy. There's like a, you know, everyone's there to celebrate. It's also chaotic. And there's also the excitement of, you know, Harry being in touch with life for the first time in, you know, 6 months of being in agony in this, you know, and trapped in this box, in this goo. It really represented for me, you know, his desire to live life, you know, despite all of the loss that's happened. He has time and he's gotten a new lease on life and he gets to be with his friends that he hasn't seen, and like he never thought that he'd see them again. And so all of that excitement and that energy of the space, you know, it was just really important to be able to imagine like what that felt like energetically. And, I think it all came together really well.
But more importantly is that the symbiote never actually chose to bond with Harry in the first place, and instead was slapped onto him by force due to Norman Osborn's relentless pursuit to save his son, no matter the cost. So while the symbiote is quietly residing within Harry, who is merely an ordinary human suffering from a terminally ill disease, chances are that the symbiote would much rather prefer a far healthier host to attach itself with, but hasn't yet found the right match. Until...
Harry? Pete? Okay, we gotta talk.
We sure do. Spider-Man?
Enter Spider-Man. Up to this point in the game, Harry had no clue that his best friend was secretly Spider-Man the entire time, and neither did the symbiote. So when the suit finally discovered that Harry's best friend just so happened to be a hero with superpowers, what does it try to do?
We both have superpowers. Just think about all the stuff we could do to heal the world! Sorry. What are you... Hold on. Sorry. I'm still figuring out how this thing works.
Nice design.
What do you mean?
Didn't you just... Huh. I guess I did.
Would you look at that? I guess we really are spider pals now.
The symbiote immediately tries to bond with Peter and take all the knowledge that it learned from Harry and apply it to a stronger host that better suits its needs. Essentially, not only does Harry view Peter and Spider-Man as a close friend at this point, as well as a hero that he can look up to, but so too does the symbiote.
What is all this stuff?
Environmental study by a new startup. The launchers for high-altitude weather sensors.
And this startup gave us permission?
Yes. I checked with the head guy. Super nice. Seemed excited about helping out Spider-Man.
And on top of all that, Harry then later becomes a superhero in his own right, where both he and the symbiote are inspired by the example that Spider-Man has set before them, and proceeds to team up with Spider-Man, which then elevates Harry and the symbiote's friendship and bond at a deeper level with Peter even further. Even during the Agent Venom mission, we get to hear Harry finally let loose and enjoy the power that he has been given on his first day on the job with his best friend. Just like what we have seen with Peter and Miles initially experiencing their own powers.
Helping you out, Spider-Man. Never felt so strong!
Don't let it get to your head. You're not invincible.
You feel like this all the time?
It's not all punching bad guys. I've had to make some hard choices, too.
That's the gig. I don't even know how I'm doing this.
That suit's wild.
I think I'm getting the hang of this. You should teach a class.
Maybe I can get my job back.
More rocket guys incoming.
Stay calm. Take them out one at a time.
Right. One at a time. You got it, Pete.
Starting to feel out of my depth here. Sure we can do this?
Of course. We're the Spider Pals.
All right.
Call me crazy. But this might be one of the best days of my life.
We really need to get you out more. Hey, good job back there.
Really? I was pretty sure I was just messing everything up.
You were, but in the best possible way.
At this point, both Harry and the symbiote are on the top of the world. However, things take a dark turn once Peter, Harry, and the symbiote come face to face with the story's biggest antagonist yet.
For us, it really started with Kraven. He's our catalyst for the story, right? Like before the game starts, he's halfway around the world being Kraven, hunting, trying to find the ultimate prey. And he watched from afar as the events of the first 2 games occurred. And he decided, you know what? There's a lot of stuff going on in New York City. That might be my new hunting ground. So, like I said, Kraven's a catalyst for everything happening. When he comes to New York City, you know, a lot of things start going wrong. We have Lizard coming out. We have the Symbiote coming out. There's a lot of drama that's happening in this game.
Light the fires. The great hunt begins.
Given everything that happens within the game, Kraven isn't just one of the main threats that the Spider-Man have to go up against. But in actuality, Kraven is one of the biggest factors towards the creation of Venom. During this mission, we still see Harry, the Symbiote, and Peter teaming up as heroes in order to save MJ and Dr. Connors. And everything is going fine. Until... where we now get to witness an emotion from Harry that the symbiote has never experienced before. Rage.
Not as venomous as they say.
I'm gonna get you out of here.
This feels not great.
Just think, this'll definitely be your coolest scar.
I'll kill you!
Harry!
Do it then!
Look out! I know. Shh. It's okay. Come on.
Sorry. I was always so busy.
Don't. Look, we're almost... Pete, talk to me. Come on. Get up. Harry!
Both Harry and the symbiote fall into a flurry of emotional anger and hatred towards Kraven for hurting their best friend, and do everything in their power to hurt him as much as possible. And what's worse is that the wound that Kraven inflicted onto Spider-Man is so fatal that Peter actually ends up dying in the process, which then leads to another emotion from Harry that the symbiote has yet to undergo.
No!
Sadness and grief. All hope seems lost, until the symbiote decides to take action and attempts to aid a fallen friend by providing Peter with the same gift that it bestowed upon Harry. And thus, we begin our very first step towards the downfall of the symbiote, with the birth of...
What happened? I don't know. MJ, get him out of here. I'll handle this.
Oh, this feels good. Regardless of him, just your boss needs better aim.
You're just what Kraven has been searching for.
And I feel sorry for him.
MJ, I'm on my way.
What are you? Track the lizard. The spider is mine.
At long last, Spider-Man and the symbiote have now become one. As I mentioned earlier, is that the symbiote's ultimate end goal was to essentially find a stronger host that was well suited for its biological needs in comparison to Harry. And what better a host than our friendly neighborhood web-slinger?
I'm wearing an alien.
We call it a symbiote. It bonds at the subcellular level with its host. In our case, Harry Osborn. He gave it to you?
Not exactly. I was hurt,
And it chose you.
Now, at this point of the game, we start to enter familiar territory when it comes to the Black Suit and its previous storylines. Peter overindulges in all the power that the symbiote provides him, his personality is then morally corrupted slowly over time. At one point, the symbiote even body snatches Peter entirely in order to experience the power of being Spider-Man for itself. Peter ends up hurting the ones closest to him, and eventually, Peter decides to separate from the suit once he realizes all the damage it has done to his personal life and those that he loves the most. But in the case of Insomniac's rendition of the Black Suit, things are a bit different. Where for the context of this game's story is that Peter's main goal once he does receive the symbiote is to remove the suit from himself and give it right back to Harry, whose health is rapidly deteriorating without it.
So, the suit cured your...
Yeah.
Which means without it, you...
Yeah.
But during the time that Peter does have the symbiote, it still continues to learn from its host. While Harry was totally immersed in an extremely positive environment surrounded by his friends and filled with immensely joyful emotions, Peter doesn't have that same luxury, considering all the trials and tribulations that he's been facing as Spider-Man for the better part of a decade. Experiencing the stress of properly balancing his two separate lives, is constantly fighting people that are trying to kill him, and in the events of Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Peter is still coping with the loss of Aunt May.
No more helping one at a time. Not with this suit.
Even though we do see instances of the symbiote acting heroically in its own way while attached to Spider-Man, the bad moments that Peter has with it far outweigh the good. This brings us to my personal favorite aspect about the Black Suit storyline, is how Peter becomes too dependent on the symbiote and its power. Similar to the concepts of addiction, which the game's cast and crew have already thoroughly discussed on how that was a massive thematic focal point for this specific symbiote storyline, is that Peter feels like the Black Suit is the only thing that can remedy the issues for everyone around him and for his own personal conflicts that he's facing as Spider-Man, which is also highlighted even further if you take the time to read some of the main missions' descriptions. But sadly, with all of the power and none of the responsibility, Peter has officially reached his absolute lowest.
What are you doing? You're in the way, Miles!
Always in the way.
I could have fixed everything! How? By strangling him? That's not what we do!
Don't try to mentor me! You're the one running away from your problems! You're the one hell-bent on revenge!
Revenge? All I wanted was to protect my family! Protect you!
You're not better than me!
I'm not saying that! You're stronger than some soup, Pete! Don't listen to it!
And what? Listen to you! I need this suit! It makes me a better Spider-Man! You just want it for yourself!
All I want is to save you!
I'm the hero! I don't get saved! All I wanted was to save everyone! MJ! May! Now the city thinks that I'm the problem! You think I'm the problem? But I'm not anymore! I'm the solution. I can't let this go! I'm finally everything everyone needs me to be!
Yeah? You don't even answer my calls anymore, man! I know you're hurting, Pete! But you're better than this!
I know, but... No.
In a way, rather than the symbiote intentionally corrupting Peter, I personally believe that it's more accurate to say that Peter indirectly corrupted the symbiote the longer he was bonded to it. And in turn, the symbiote only acted upon the inner desires that Peter, or its respective host, was feeling at the time.
Where are we anyway?
We are inside Spider-Man's mind. We've seen what those creatures do to people around the city. They get in your head, twist your desires.
The symbiote. He killed them all.
The problem solved.
That's not what Pete thinks.
No, but it might be how he feels.
All these villains. He really thought the suit could solve it all.
I'm done talking! Done begging for validation! From you! From anyone!
Validation? But this is about your job!
It's about me! Hey! Not my job or this stupid house! For once, not about you! Always about you! You can't keep a job! You can't pay the mortgage!
I have a job! With Harry! We'll be okay!
And for how long? There's only one job you care about! Spider-Man!
That's not fair! People need me! You know that!
What would the city do without Spider-Man? Look how it's doing with you! I live in your shadow where my dreams turn to dust! That is the truth! All I do is help you!
MJ!
My life is constantly interrupted by you! Looking for answers, please! Because you lost a job or can't pay a bill! I write words I don't believe in for a man I despise! So you can be happy!
Peter's excessive amount of pride, overconfidence, arrogance, and anger that he experienced while wearing the black suit all fed back directly into the symbiote, which was something that never happened when Harry had the suit for himself. On top of that, the anguish, self-doubt, inner frustrations, and repressed rage Peter harbored toward both himself and those around him were all planted into the symbiote when it bonded back to Harry. Thus, the symbiote started to fully represent that animosity and hatred. In short, the symbiote didn't give hostility and contempt to Peter, it learned all those negative emotions from Peter.
Come and get me! What the hell was that? I don't know! I was just so... in the suit! You okay?
I think so. I'm going to the breaker room. I can do the next steps there.
You okay? Yeah! I feel amazing! Hunters! You all should have ran when you had the chance! So you like smashing things? How about I smash your face? You're gonna regret ever coming here! Craven wants a hunt? I'll give him one he'll never forget!
Part the leg of that spider!
He's gonna wish he never came to New York! Fine. If I have to hurt you, I will. After all the times I've helped you! Figured you could return the favor for once! You're too weak to get control back, aren't you? I'm gonna have to punch you out myself! No wonder your family left you! You're not strong enough! They're scared of you, and you know it! Where is he? Where is Spider-Man? Find him yourself! Stay focused! Tell me where he is! Tell me! Come me! Rip him apart! I'll tear you limb from limb! Where? is, I'm the hero here, not you.
Which now leads us back to Harry. Throughout the entire time Peter had the black suit, Harry has slowly but steadily been falling back into his isolated, weak, and feeble state. Not just physically, but mentally too. While some people argue that the black suit arc in Marvel's Spider-Man 2 should have lasted much longer, considering that you don't even get the symbiote until you're literally halfway through the game's main campaign, that logistically couldn't have happened here within the context of the game's story, considering the fact that Harry is dying. So if Pete had the black suit on for too long, then Harry would simply be dead by the end of the game's second act. Instead, Act 2 essentially comes off as a race against time, where Peter is trying to hurry as quickly as possible to have Harry reunite with the suit in order to heal him, but later deciding to keep the power for himself in order to be a better Spider-Man.
Harry keeps bugging me to come see him. Patience, friend, I'm an important guy.
As Harry draws closer to his untimely end, we also get to see other parts of his character come to light, as well as how his relationships with Peter and his father begin to unravel. While Harry seems like a relatively nice guy at surface level, there's actually a lot of pain, sadness, and anger brewing underneath well before the events of Marvel's Spider-Man 2 even occurred.
I wish I could do something to help Doc. Maybe call Harry. Ask him to talk to his dad. No. Norman never listens to Harry. He even tried to kill funding for his research stations. Harry left me a message about these before he left for Europe.
Pete, hey, I need a favor. My mom's pet project was research stations that could benefit the public. Now, I launched them, but now that I'm away, Oscorp's gonna shut them down unless they prove their value. I was hoping you could watch them. I left details in each one. Thanks, man. As long as they're here, it's like a part of my mom is too.
Simply put, Harry feels betrayed and abandoned by the two most important people in his life. Not just towards Peter for harboring the symbiote away and refusing to let himself get better again, where at this point, Harry still doesn't even know that the suit is an alien, but also towards his father and the hidden resentment that Harry has always had for him.
Thank you for being his friend. I am so proud of the man you've become.
Are you giving up on me?
Mr. Osborn, are you okay?
I'm worried about Harry. I have no one else to talk to. He's, not himself right now. And it's all my fault.
It's mine too. Harry told me about his treatment. I knew something was off, but I was just happy he was back.
I should have told him that more. I love you, son. Please. Just give me back my son.
We are your son. We've never been good enough for you or Dad.
It's messing with your head, Harry! You're my best friend!
Then why don't you trust us? We gave you everything you ever wanted, and you threw us away.
I should have been better! I'm so sorry!
Look at us! We are healthy, strong. This is what you wanted, isn't it?
Harry is not only feeling weak, but is seen as weak and helpless by the other people around him, which only fuels the fire towards growing Harry's inner rage.
When you lost her, that day on the football field, I was there! Always have been!
Until we got sick again. You abandoned us while we were fighting for our lives.
I was trying to save you!
Didn't feel like that to us.
I saved your life? You won't save mine? Do you want me to die?
So, when a frail and resentful Harry Osborn finally reunites with a scorned and enraged symbiote that was just rejected by Spider-Man moments ago, a character that both Harry and the symbiote currently have a shared feeling of disdain towards, what happens next?
Harry, are you... Oh, God.
The time has come. All of Harry's suppressed pain, frustration, and rage culminates into a rampage of fury and power that devastates anyone in the way of himself and the symbiote. And thus, Insomniac's Venom is born. But of course, there's more going on within this version of the character than meets the eye, and is far more layered than him being a simple rage monster. Despite being an entirely different host from Eddie Brock, the core elements of Venom's character are still there. It's just that they come off differently than what the majority of Venom fans are used to from more traditional adaptations.
You're dead. Give up. You're just a little man. Show him what he's missing. We're giving you a chance! Thanks for coming, Pete. We want to show you something.
For example, I love how this moment of the Venom and Kraven boss fight can be seen from both sides of Harry and the symbiote's perspectives speaking in unison.
We were separated because of you.
That's so!
In this case, Kraven not only separated Harry from the symbiote by fatally injuring Spider-Man and unintentionally gifting Peter with the black suit, but he also separated the symbiote from its ideal host of Spider-Man due to the fight that ensued with both Kraven and Miles. This shows that both the symbiote and Harry are continuously bonding, or rebonding, during the fight through their shared trauma, pain, and anger towards Kraven, Peter, and everyone else around them. It's moments like these that, for me, really make Insomniac's Venom stand out amongst the rest.
Strike! Strike! Break my body against these shores of the living! Do what the spider could not. You destroyed our work. Hurt our friends. Let your vengeance feast upon my flesh!
That said, we can all agree that we didn't get to spend nearly enough time with this version of Venom, considering that the majority of the game is centered around the dynamic between the symbiote's relationship with Harry and Peter, but interestingly enough, this can also be directly reflected onto Spider-Man PS4, where Insomniac followed a similar 3-act structure for their handling of Dr. Octopus, who, in my opinion, is still the best written villain in the entire series so far. In the first game, we didn't get to see the fully realized portrayal of Otto Octavius becoming Doc Ock until the very end of Act 2, just like what we saw here with Harry becoming Venom. In fact, we actually get to spend more time with Harry in comparison to Otto, ranging from hanging out with him as Peter, teaming up with Harry during his Agent Venom missions, and of course, being able to actually play as Venom during his first on-screen appearance. Hell, the very first scene in Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is showing Harry, Norman, and the symbiote all at once. So why does Marvel's Spider-Man 2 feel so different in comparison? To me, Venom wasn't, so to say, rushed in Marvel's Spider-Man 2, but rather, the core focus of Spider-Man PS4 and Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is on the dramatic build-up to each villain's creation, and people merely wanted to see more of Insomniac's vision of Venom brought to life. If only there was a way that we could receive more of him down the line.
Yes, you will be my final hunt, and I shall be your first.
Do I die at the end?
Well, I can't really say that. It's gonna be a spoiler, but it's for you. I really want to experience like the whole game, but I feel.
Well,
like...
I know what I think happens, but we actually we shot it like 3 different ways, so I have no idea what happens. So this is actually exciting. I get to find out. I get to find out if I'll be in the next game.
So the ending.
I have a feeling if I am, it'll be very limited. But I've heard some rumblings, so we'll see.
Yeah, you're no stranger to voicing characters in video games. So I'm kind of curious, how does this role as Venom stack up to your previous roles?
It's one of my favorite characters so far. I'm not going to say it's the pinnacle, but it's damn near close because we don't know what's coming up next. But I love what I do. And this isn't just a job for me. This is a passion because I am a gamer myself and I don't want to mess nothing up. I want it to be legendary and hopefully time will tell.
Regardless, we've finally reached the point in the game where Venom's characteristics, as well as his overall goal, have become fully realized. The symbiote cured Harry of his disease, and even managed to save his best friend from the brink of death. Harry's ultimate dream is wanting to heal the world, while the symbiote is merely feeding into the desires of its host. So, in Harry's mind, why shouldn't he share the gift that the symbiote gave to him and Peter with everyone else? And with his newfound power, Harry's going to share that vision with the world by any means necessary, even if that means going against his closest friends in order to achieve it.
I think everyone's got darkness inside of them. Yeah. Some people like swim in it day in and day out. Some people repress it. Some people, but it's there. Just as much as the light is in everyone. I think that for those scenes where Harry's relationship with that darkness was less like one of turmoil and trying to get away from it, but rather like for the first time in his life, just like owning it. That really spoke to me. And, as someone who spends a lot of time trying to make sure that everyone's okay and like, we're gonna be all right, to just like drop into my dark side in a way that like disturbed the air negatively. Yeah. And to just not worry about it and not really give a shit. That was really empowering for me, and Laura and Yuri gave me so much in that scene, and it was really, they made me feel like they were afraid of what I might do, and that was just, it felt really I just felt really powerful in those scenes, and like lethal, like a wild animal or something, where they get really still right before they like kill an impala or something.
Yeah.
Now granted, this stems far beyond classic Venom interpretations of him simply wanting revenge against Peter and Spider-Man. But to be honest, it actually takes a far different direction in comparison to the game's previous villains, who've already all had that shared trait in common.
When I make a promise to this city, I keep it. The people of New York will soon make a decision that could change the course of this city forever. So when you're casting your vote, remember what I've done. We are all safer now than we have ever been.
Liar!
You have no idea what you're in for.
You stole my company! My ideas! Now, the truth.
Just give me the anti-serum! You've already done enough to ruin Osborn!
No! He always bounces back! He has to lose everything!
won't bring your parents back.
Why do you insist on trying to save this piece of scum?
I'm trying to save you, Martin. Don't let revenge win. Fight it! Fight it, Martin! You can walk away!
No! Osborn must suffer!
You're a real prick, you know that?
You know, when her brother and I were developing new form,
All you did was put your name on the patent. He said the only thing you knew how to do was sell other people's ideas.
Well, at least I still got a pulse, babe.
but let's not dwell.
You don't know what you're doing!
They deserve what's coming to them!
No! The reactor! Krieger changed the specs. You're not just gonna destroy Roxxon Plaza. You're gonna vaporize all of Harlem!
And trust me when I say that I am fully aware that this is a bit of a far cry compared to what we originally heard about Venom's character from Insomniac and Marvel before the game released.
Hey guys, how's it going? Hey
How's
Bill, hey Brian, Josh.
Evan. Good to see ya.
Good to see you guys too. The Hall H panel was incredible yesterday. Totally focused on Venom and the black suit and the symbiote, and it was phenomenal. So my question for you guys is, seeing how big of a role Venom is going to play in the game, what does the character of Venom mean to each of you?
Good question. Two things. Well, there's many, but I'll only focus on two. One thing we talked about, what makes Venom so scary, is that he doesn't want to rob banks. You know, he doesn't want to take over the world. Venom wants to kill Spider-Man. Like, that's his. There's an element of fear. And the second thing that I think is very interesting is the idea of the symbiote suit as an addiction. There are many different addictions in the world, and what can happen is sometimes some people feel like, this is my best self, this is great. And your friends are like, no, you need to stop doing this. It's harmful to you. And so that's a very interesting dynamic to see play out amongst the characters. And so when we first sit down to talk about the game and the story, in addition to gameplay, we're always like, what is the story? Not the plot. What are some of the themes that we're talking about? So there are talking about things like darkness within, addiction, friends being torn apart, or coming together, as we say, be greater together. So I think all those kind of high concepts are really kind of fascinating about the symbiote and Venom.
Yeah, I think for me, it comes down to, when people think of Venom, for me, it's Venom is the equation of a host plus the symbiote equals Venom. And not only are they bonded physically, but there's something else emotionally that bonds them together. So I think when you play Marvel Spider-Man, you'll understand how that comes to be based on the story we're telling.
But I like to think that Bill Roseman in that instance was talking about how Venom is usually done in the comics, whereas Brian Intihar was talking about their own adaptation of Venom for this game. For Marvel's Spider-Man 2, both Harry and the symbiote care too much about Peter at this point to simply kill him in a quest for revenge. But instead, they want Peter to join them in their pursuit to heal the world as a team, bonded together as one.
We can give that gift to everyone. But we need you with us, Pete. Heal the world together.
Nonetheless, based on everything that Insomniac and Marvel have already previously stated, is that they both clearly understand how Venom is classically meant to be portrayed. And while we did end up receiving something different within this game, we can only hope that some of those classic traits might end up shining through if we get to see Venom's character potentially be developed even further sometime down the line. But despite Harry and the symbiote having a shared goal of healing the world together, there might actually be an even deeper reasoning for why exactly Venom is behaving the way he is closer to the end of the game. And if you're a fan of the comics, I think you might have already come to the same conclusion that I have.
What is that thing? It's a fragment of a meteorite that landed outside the city years ago. It's where we found that.
Besides both of the Spider-Men having to face off against Venom as their biggest threat yet, there's an even bigger evil lurking in the darkness. And I do mean that literally. The original King in Black himself, the Lord of the Abyss, the God of the Symbiotes, Knull. For those who don't know, in the King in Black Marvel comics written by Donny Cates, Knull was an eldritch god of darkness, and the creator of the symbiotes. He experimented with his powers and discovered that he could bond his living abyss with lesser creatures in the form of amorphous parasites, later on known as the Clintar, that he could control. And thus, establishing himself as the nexus of the hive that he created, Knull proceeded to conquer worlds with the symbiotes at his disposal. Now, as of the recording of this video, we don't know whether or not Insomniac is actually planning on utilizing Knull as a character within the overarching world of their Spider-Man franchise. Primarily, does this visual Easter egg of the symbiote spiral directly mean that Knull is an actual living being in this universe? In all honesty, I have no idea. But this is the only Spider-Man game that has been made so far that has massively alluded to the character's existence, which holds an extremely prominent presence within the context of this game's story and its interpretation of the symbiote entity as a whole. And if anything, it indicates to me that this Venom story is only just the beginning.
Now that the symbiote is off of you, how are you feeling?
Fine. Relieved that it's over. Ashamed at what I did.
It's not your fault. There's still so much we don't know.
Above everything else, I have a working theory as to why the symbiote acts the way it does towards the second half of the game, and it all has to do with its point of origin. As you may know, another one of my all-time favorite Spider-Man games with Web of Shadows has a very direct contrast with Marvel's Spider-Man 2. You see, in Web of Shadows, we never actually received a clear reason as to why the symbiote invasion began in the first place. Instead, the symbiote only started reproducing itself after a piece of it bonded to Spider-Man and merely began acting evil out of nowhere.
Here we are. Here we are. Here we are. Here we are.
Gross.
Parker, you took away part of us, but that just made us stronger. We should grow.
Eddie, that's not right.
Eddie, we don't listen to Eddie.
We even see both Eddie and Harry temporarily gain back control from the symbiote in order to communicate with Spider-Man, where at that point the symbiote is merely acting on its own free will.
Parker, I'm going to...
What? Destroy every innocent life on Earth?
I can't stop it! So tired. Help me! I can't get rid of them!
What are you doing?
Get out of here, Parker! That's right. My flesh, my mind, my heart. Time to die like a man.
Harry! Pete? Pete, what's happening? Just hang on, buddy! Please, no. Leave him alone. Fight, Harry! Fight! I can't. I'm done. You have to...
You have to kill us.
I'm done. Either way, Pete. We still have time? No, we don't. It'll kill them. And then it'll kill you. Let's heal the world, Pete. Together.
We've even seen other Venom adaptations indicate, if not directly imply, that the symbiote begins to take over its host over time. So it's not like this isn't anything new in mainstream Spidey media.
When I am done with you, you won't be able to get a job taking wedding pictures in Siberia! I tried to fight it. Can't fight it anymore!
You don't understand, Brock. It doesn't just bond with you, it takes over. Makes you do what it wants. You've got to separate from it.
Separate? We're made for each other. Brock's rage and vengefulness made us a perfect breeding ground. Far better than you, Parker.
Brock, the more you hate me, the more the symbiote can control you.
Who said we hate you? Fact is, we're your biggest fan.
It's the symbiote that compels you to violence. You must fight its influence. You see, you are strong enough. You can reject it.
No, Ashley. Our other is too strong.
If you destroy Spider-Man, the alien will take over completely.
My head! It's on fire!
Eddie, no!
Help me! I can feel the symbiote taking over. I'm a monster again.
Don't leave me, Eddie!
Eddie, please, fight it! Don't let the symbiote control you!
No one's being controlled. We simply share the same desire. Your destruction.
You're free. You can stop this. Stop hating.
Can't.
It only loves me. For the hate.
Regardless, here in Marvel's Spider-Man 2, the reasoning behind the symbiote invasion is pretty obvious. The Meteorite and its deeply rooted connection to Knull and the Hive Mind. In the King in Black comics, Knull is able to mentally influence and dominate symbiotes even while sealed away, driving them insane with bloodlust and hunger. He's also capable of remote piloting them, enabling him to see through their eyes and directly control them. For instance, when Knull began to reawaken and assert his influence over the symbiote Hive Mind, an increasing number of symbiotes began succumbing to his will, including Scorn, Scream, Hybrid, and, you guessed it, Venom. We even get to see a glimpse of Knull's immediate control over the symbiote in Marvel's Spider-Man 2, where the Black Suit attempts to leave Spider-Man for a brief moment in order to join back with the Meteorite, after being separated from the Hive Mind for so long, due to it being bonded with Harry for a number of years at this point. Not only does this directly parallel exactly how the symbiote's relationship works with Knull in the King in Black comics, where Knull is such an overpowering force towards all the Clintar in general, but it also mirrors the alien's deeper connection to the Hive Mind.
We're now part of a life force that has existed since the dawn of time. Imagine what you've turned down, Parker. Think of all this knowledge. We've seen thousands of worlds, millions of civilizations, learned many secrets, always with but one goal above all else: to survive, Parker.
The meteorite is the source of all the power, right? Creating goo, creating symbiotes. But it was useless until Harry repaired it.
Yeah. And that particle accelerator is what damaged it in the first place. Cut off a piece at low power.
Right, so what if we crank the power up? Like way past 11.
Might destroy it. And free everyone connected to the Hive Mind.
Theoretically.
As for the symbiote Hive Mind itself, it's thoroughly described as a mental and metaphysical realm that psychically connects symbiotes and their ilk to one another and their god, while also serving as an afterlife for deceased symbiotes and their hosts. It also enables those who possess the power of the King in Black to telepathically communicate with symbiotes and their hosts, impose their will on symbiotes to influence or corrupt them, and even create avatars by projecting their consciousness across space to remote pilot symbiotes either forcibly or with consent. Furthermore, this hive mind can go even deeper, all the way to its central core with that of the God Hive, where seemingly we end up getting to have a good look at the God Hive in Marvel's Spider-Man 2.
I?
You are home. Finally, you are where you belong.
Is this what happens when people turn into symbiotes?
You are safe here. Everyone you love is safe here.
Described as the supposed core of the symbiote hive mind, the God Hive is a pocket dimension under Knull's control, where it's usually portrayed as a hellish crimson wasteland with abyssal fissures and jagged spires of the living abyss populated by massive astral forms of symbiotes. All of this and more thoroughly explains why the symbiote is acting so out of control towards the latter half of the game's story, and why Peter claims that the symbiote is evolving if you look at Peter's writings within the mission's descriptions. Even after the destruction of the meteorite, we can still see symbiotes running around the city causing destruction. But now that the core parts of the main symbiote that bonded itself to Harry have been fully separated from the meteorite's control, there is a chance that the symbiote can regain its own free will, and potentially have a shot of redemption for everything it has done to the people of Marvel's New York, especially if any more symbiotes end up appearing in the future.
And when the Crimson Hour rolls over this earth, it shall bring truth, judgment, and carnage.
Ooh, I smell bad, symbiote, and it ain't me.
Bring it on, Grandpa!
You say?
At the end of the day, forgetting about all the deeper comic lore that the game treads upon, Venom's core story in Marvel's Spider-Man 2 isn't one about hatred and revenge towards another person, but rather, it centers around the unbelievable sadness, tragedy, and pain that one person can experience with loss, and how that person can go about confronting it in a less than ideal way. For Peter, it was about hoarding an overabundant amount of power when he had the symbiote in order to protect those that he cares about the most, no matter the cost. And for Harry, it was about using what little time he had left on Earth in order to make a difference in the world. And through his eyes, at least at first, he genuinely believed that he could do that by sharing his dark gift with everyone else. To be a quote-unquote lethal protector of sorts for the ones closest to him, he wanted to heal them in his own twisted manner. In terms of characterization, Insomniac's Venom is an amalgamation of almost every other Venom that has come before. Agent Venom, Ultimate Venom, the Ultimate Cartoon Venom, Web of Shadows Venom, Anti-Venom, King in Black Venom, and so many others, all rolled up into one. Does this mean that Insomniac's Venom is the absolute best version of the character ever made? No, at least not yet. But in my eyes, it shows just how much research Insomniac have done on the character while still taking the chance to try something different.
Give me back my friend!
We are your friend.
Venom in Marvel's Spider-Man 2 isn't perfect by any means, as he is merely one of many versions of the character that we have experienced over the past decades. But after diving deeper into who he truly is, the impact that he has left on me has only hit that much harder, and will continue to stick with me for years to come. And I, for one, just can't wait to see what the future has in store.
Hug the people that you love in your life. You know, they're not going to be around forever. There's something really special that happens when you're able to reconnect with someone that you've been, separated from. And don't wait for them to be in a tank, and get out of a tank to reconnect with that friend that means something to you. There's just so much love in this game. This game, as much as it's about loss, it's the other side of that is people feel lost because they feel love. And it requires bravery to love deeply and love hard, but in the end it's worth it.
I love you.
knew when we got through this crazy time, whenever we got through it, I wanted you to have these. And I wasn't positive I'd be here to give them to you myself.
Harry.
I love you, Pete. I really do. And I know the Foundation didn't end up going the way I'd hoped, but there's still no one I'd rather have tried it with. I bet by the time you get this, we'll have already started a new Foundation. Just me and you. From scratch. Go us.
Go us.